I'm Dr. Kimberly Manning.
And this is Dr. Ashley McMullen. And you're listening to the Human Doctor Podcast, where we explore the human side of medicine, along with teaching, living, learning, and all things in between. Using the power of storytelling, conversation, and connectedness.
Hey, we're two dope academic internal medicine doctors, but we ain't your doctors. So if you perceive anything we say here as medical advice, no, it ain't that. Also, the things we say, they only reflect our brilliant Black woman magic mind and not our employers.
You could have been anywhere, y'all, but you chose to be here with us, and we appreciate you. Let's go.
It's good to see you today.
It's good to see you too. Congrats on another stint on service.
Oh, what a delightful time I had on service.
You do a 2-week block?
In this particular instance, me and a colleague, we had a mutual need. So I covered about 5 days and it was good.
That seems doable. It seems like when I was a resident, having the attendings just have even just a day or two to kind of breathe and come back, it helped.
Yeah, you know what I have absolutely learned, that sure, it is ideal to have your learners for about 2 weeks so that if you need to remediate something, you want to push them in some way, you have time to do it and also to watch them improve and all that stuff. But it really does not take long to have an impact on a learner if you're not lazy and you decide you really want to pay attention. Because in the past, I used to do 1 month rotations on inpatient. Now that I have like multiple, like 1 week, 2 week here and there, it actually has truly become opportunity for more reps in short periods of time. And it's kind of cool.
Okay, I'm here for it.
Me too.
Well, on the other side of this latest inpatient stint, where does that land you on a scale of 1 to 5?
I am a smooth, fulfilled, and optimistic 4.9.
Okay, right up on the edge.
Yes, the only reason I am not a 5 because I feel awesome today. I had a great workout. I feel great. Is because I recognized right before we logged on that there was something that was a deliverable, some online OSCEs that I was supposed to grade due yesterday.
Yeah,
So,
I
so
love
I am
those.
delinquent. I've discovered that I'm delinquent on something. I wish I could say that was not at all like me. But
Nope.
but one of my goals this year, I was like, I'm determined for Deb, the amazing professional who helps us with OSCEs, to not have to text me and go, "Hello, Nanny." And she has a British accent, so it sounds nice. Like even I read it with her British accent. Dr. Manning, I imagine you're quite busy. Like, girl.
Yep.
Yes. So my goal in life is to try to hurry up and get something done before somebody asks me for it again. Yes. So I thought I was going to be chilling, but no, I'm going to be watching medical students do the same case over and over again. Such a rager.
Yeah. I've done a few of those, Yeah.
So,
That's cool.
what are you on a scale of 1 to 5?
Like a 4.8, definitely on the rise. It's still early for me.
Okay.
But one of the things that I deeply appreciate, I think I mentioned last episode that I've got this lingering nasal congestion. I had a cold about a week ago and I have chronic rhinitis at baseline. And so anytime I get a cold, like my nose just really inflames and it takes a long time to resolve. And it was really kind of messing with my sleep. But, shout out to Dr. Amanda Wright. She had some pro tips for me. So using the saline rinses more often, but combining it with doing Afrin spray first to kind of open up the nasal passages, do the rinse, and then do my Flonase after the rinse. And that actually prevents a lot of the rebound effect that you get from using Afrin over and over. And so that really has made a difference, which I'm delighted because I'm about to get on a very long flight in a few hours. So it'll be helpful to breathe through my nose.
Yes, that's nice. That's actually a good segue because I went to a concert last week The concert, as I mentioned, included New Edition, but it
Hmm.
also included Boys to Men and Tony Braxton.
Mm.
And one of Tony Braxton's songs was "I Got to Breathe." So that was really my segue. I got to breathe.
Tell you, there you go.
I did there. If you are like Gen X with an exclamation point on it, let me tell you something. They started all the way back with Candy Girl, went with the old songs from like when I was in middle school. They did
Mm.
Cool It Now. Then they went all the way into the Any Heartbreak when what's his name? Johnny Gill showed up. Then Boys to Men came out. Then they did all the BBD songs. It does make
Mm.
you realize how problematic some of those lyrics were. Because
What?
we were like all these moms in their 50s. So me and my friends are in there like poison, deadly, moving in slow, looking for a mellow fellow like DeVoe, getting paid late. So paid low. Huh. Huh. The low pro ho. Wait a minute now. We were just like, we like all looked at each other at the same time, like these words were terrible. We
Dang.
used to just be like dancing along to a song that said never trust a big butt in a smile, which
Oh, gosh.
universally describes me and all my friends circa 1989 when the song came out. But that was fun.
Yeah.
And then, it just made you realize how many hits people had.
Hmm. I saw some of y'all's pics. I was like, y'all was in there deep. It looked fun.
It was deep. It was
Yeah.
the aunties was outside. That's absolutely what was going on. The aunties, it was a whole auntie fest. Oh, I didn't mention. Did I mention that I went to the Society of Hospital Medicine meeting?
You mentioned it to me. I don't know if we talked about it on to the listeners yet.
Yeah, I went to the Society of Hospital Medicine meeting and it was awesome. Got to see a lot of old friends and also got to prepare a talk called The State of Equity Initiatives in Hospital Medicine. And it was a talk that I enjoyed putting together, though I was kicking myself as I was putting together a new talk. It was good. It was good to kind of walk through um, where we are right now and to think about just hopeful ways to reimagine what it takes to help our patients and our communities achieve optimal health. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And the optimist in me likes to believe that regardless of what color crayon you pull out of the box to represent the way you vote, um,
Mm.
I have to believe that there are some places where we can agree. It also helps to acknowledge where we will never agree. And then, instead of continuing to like, kick up dust, just figure out from right now, the time we are in right now, here's where we can agree and what we gonna work on, what we gonna do, and how we gonna
Hmm.
help these folks that we are responsible for caring for thrive, and these learners that we are training up to take care of us when we old. Well, what are we doing? Because low key, every single person that you are picking for medical school, helping through residency training, that is who is going to be taking care of you. But
Real talk.
although, guess what I did wrong?
Hmm.
My talk started at 10 after, and I thought it ended at 10 after, and it started at 10 after, and it ended on the hour. So I went over like 10 minutes,
Ooh.
which is not like something I ever do, but
Yeah.
I remain horrified. Nobody got up. People weren't leaving. I was like, you know what? I really appreciate people's kindness, but wow, 10 minutes
Yeah.
over. So sorry to the person who had to like walk right in and start with no breather. I'm sorry.
Mm, mm, mm.
My bad.
Well, sis, we have been on a journey, even in this preamble. I thought about trying to freestyle, but then I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'll write out a poem next time.
Ah,
But all that being said, sis, go ahead and let us know what the what is.
okay. So I actually have two words that I'm playing with. but they kind of mean different things. And they are both slang terms that are not Gen X terms, they're kind of Gen Z terms. The first word is motion.
Motion.
The other word is kind of on the borderline between Gen X and Gen Z, because or millennial-ish or something. And that's swag. Swag is kind of played out.
Okay.
Okay. But motion, I first heard it when I was driving my son and his friends to spring break. And one of the boys turned around and said, "Man, you ain't got no motion." And I was like, "What is that?" And they're like, "Now, you know what? Zachary, your dad got motion. Your dad got motion. Man, you ain't got no mo." They kept talking about motion. Turns out motion is just forward momentum. It just means you just getting stuff done, you making stuff happen. You just out here making it happen. You're a go-getter. You winning. And you setting yourself up to win. So I like motion. Motion just is like you moving forward successfully. Sometimes it can be with your money, it can be with your accomplishments, but just motion. I like that. And then swag is one that everybody's heard of before, just kind of you cool and but mostly I look at swag as you are cool with you.
Hmm.
And I think it's really hard to have motion without a little bit of swag.
Mm.
And, some swag is kind of fake.
Yep.
But like real swag, the kind where you're not really trying that hard, I think it's a really great accompaniment to somebody being successful moving forward with whatever they're trying to do. So I'm thinking a lot about that because I was working with a learner recently who, when I came into the team the first day, this was a learner I had encountered a couple times in other settings, a medical student. I had encountered them in the preclinical curriculum a few times, and we talked a bit. This student had racial concordance with me, has racial concordance with me. And, I had a warm, like hi and bye exchange with them. And you know how it is when the students know you, but you don't really know them that well. It was with fondness that I saw this student on my team when I came in. One of the things that does happen, when you start to get senior and people start to have an idea about who you are, sometimes on the first day, people can be very nervous and you can just see it impacting the way that they do whatever they're doing. So I try my best to level set and make sure everybody is psychologically safe. I often will spend about a few minutes talking about things unrelated to medicine and maybe share something goofy or even something a little bit vulnerable. So it just kind of humanizes me and takes whatever little thing you heard about me away and be like, she's actually a dork. um, and kind of let you calm down. So, but this particular student was very deferential toward me, seemed very excited to be there. But when the time came for him to start presenting his patient, he was all over the place. And I think it was because he was trying to figure out what it was I wanted to hear. He was nervous to not do a good job. It was not a new patient presentation. We were kind of running the list on the old patient. So, and I was the new attending. So, what he needed to do was kind of give me a problem representation of what was going on, catch me up with the hospital course, tell me what happened that day. And I had explained that that's what I wanted to hear, but it was just a lot. And so, usually, when a student is trying to present to me, I will wait as long as I can before I start to ask any questions because I know as a medical student, you will feel like you failed if your attending starts like asking clarifying questions.
Hmm.
But I was really having trouble following it, and we had a lot of work to do. And so finally, I said, okay, well, let me try to reflect back what I've heard you say. So I tried, and it was not exactly right. And then the senior resident stepped in and gave a summary. Um, and I realized that when the student was trying to tell me the story, I was just noticing that he was kind of just shrinking more and more and the types of words that he was choosing. He kept putting his hands toward his face. He was like rubbing his chin and rubbing the side of his face and, things that kind of put his hand in the way of his face. He was hunched over a little bit, looking at his paper as he was talking. We were all seated. It was just a lot of stuff that I could tell he was trying to diminish his psychological size. But it was dichotomous, right? Because when you have the floor to talk about a patient, you are simultaneously trying to increase your psychological size.
Hmm.
So I just watched him with great interest, and I thought, this is really a complicated thing I'm watching because from what I saw, the student was competent. Also, what I saw, he was very much in his head, and all of that was impacting his ability to get stuff done. The more he was in his head, the more it was just getting chaotic. And once the resident stepped in and gave that summary, you could just see the defeat just wash over his face and him just kind of curling his shoulders more and lean down and still trying to look intellectually curious, but I could tell it was kind of defeated because this was my moment, right? So after we've run the list of the patients who were, as I like to refer to them, our old friends, I say old friends and new friends, our old friends, we got up to go see our new friends. And one of the new friends or newly admitted patients was somebody that the student was going to present. So as we walk over to the bedside, we're walking in a group, about 5 or 6 people on my team. He was kind of toward the back. I slowed down and talked to him a little bit, and then we get to the bedside, and he presents his patient, and it was fine. It was fine. And so by the end of rounds, I thought he was a little nervous at first, but he was fine. It was fine. I went back and looked at the notes I had from my colleague who had handed the service over to me, who sort of said the student was fine. It's kind of in a reporter space in terms of where they were as a medical student, and they were doing fine, which to me is not ever what I want anybody to say about me. Like if you ask who is your attending and they say it's Dr. Manning, I don't want you to be like, oh, she's fine. She's nice. I want you to have like four other adjectives before that that are positive
Hmm.
and that are specific to me. To me, fine is nondescript. It means you are not an assassin. You are not necessarily going to be my first choice of somebody. You wouldn't be my last choice. You didn't offend me. You could be the sixth man off the bench and it'd be all right, but you ain't starting.
Hmm.
And my thing is, I'm trying to help everybody be a starter. I really am. So after the first day of rounds, I'm getting ready to leave for the day. And I go to the student and I point at him and I was like, "Hey, I need to talk to you." He looks horrified because this is day one, you usually ain't getting no feedback. So I pulled him down the hallway to a quiet area, and he was like, "Did I do something wrong?" I said, "No, you didn't do nothing wrong." And he was like, "Okay, is everything okay?" I said, "Yeah, everything is okay." I said, "But here's the deal. The deal is that today you were fine. He was all right." And he was like, you could have seen his face. It was like, what? I was like, look, bro, I'm gonna spend this next week with you turning up your swag and helping you to have some more emotion. He was like, what? I was like, okay, number one, you are the spokesperson for the patient. See yourself as the spokesperson for the patient who has been trusted to tell their story in their absence and to take your medical knowledge and to interpret what's going on with them. That is what you have been charged to do. So, what I want you to do is I want you to focus on that and not me and what I think about you. It's because the fact that you are here, I'm already happy to see you. And I'm real med student centric. I love me some medical students. So you had me at med student, right? But also, we got to talk about your body language. This student was over 6 feet tall. I said, I need you
Hmm.
to stand all the way up. I need you to bring your shoulders back. If you're going to use some notes, hold them up where you can glance at them. I need you to bring your chin up. I need you to speak with your whole chest. I need you to be 10 toes down on your assessment and plan. And don't come and say no assessment and plan to me that you have not looked into and that you're not ready to be 10 toes down in. Even if I don't agree with you, you got something you're working with. Try to predict where you think I might push back or criticize you. I said, this is a psychologically safe environment, but I'm telling you right now, what you don't want to be is fine. It's because the people that get attention in the medical system, in education, are the people who got big problems and need to be remediated, and the superstars. And even the superstars stop getting any feedback at some point. People just kind of assume that they're on
Yep.
autopilot. But if you're somebody kind of coasting through the middle and you ain't done nothing wrong, those are the people that end up having things happen like they didn't match, or they don't have a job yet because of these sort of nondescript things that kind of kept happening, right? And this person was a medical student. So I was like, so my focus 100% is going to be up in your swag so that you can up your motion. He was like, yes, ma'am. So I was very specific. I was like, you got to get your hands out of your face. If you got to sit on your hands, you got to need to do that. But that's not, I don't let my sons put their hands in their face. Don't do that. Sit up straight. Don't walk to the back of the group when we're on rounds. When we walk in somewhere, be lockstep with the people leading the team. Get up there toward the front. Don't drag behind.
Mm.
Somebody is talking. I don't care if every intern on the team got their back to the attending and they are like typing into the electronic medical record. You be locked in. I said, because chances are it's going to be some learning that's going to jump off, or it's going to be something to prompt your independent reading that's going to happen then. But also, it's just going to be an opportunity for you to position yourself for more. The eager learner, the person that comes in with, just who's hungry, they're going to get more. And he was like, okay. I said, all right. So when we walk back down this hall, I want you to walk the way I'm telling you to walk. And he was like, yes, ma'am. So he had his head up, his shoulders back. He's walking. Swag, swag. You deserve to be here. You smart. You know who you are. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise. I said, look, man, if you got to stand outside of this room before you come in here to this team room and mentally shadowbox for a few moments before you come up in here, do it. I said, when you ride into work, practice saying your assessment and plan so that when you hear it coming out of your mouth, it's not the first time when you're saying it to me. That way, you will feel more comfortable. You will have a little more swag. And with that swag, you'll want the ball because getting the ball and getting off the bench, that's really how you get any motion, right? This was so awesome because medical knowledge was fine. All that stuff was, I have no worries about that. This was just a small autocorrect in how this person was presenting themselves in a space. And I wish I had time to tell somebody about how our identities and the reception that we get from people based on our identities and things that are out of our control affects how likely we are to be able to walk into a space and feel like we can own it. But that is why I'm here. That's why I'm here. Because there wasn't nothing ambiguously black about this person. This was a brother all the way. Like, but I would do this for anybody. I would do
Yeah.
this for any learner. This is not, just about race. But what I will say is that as a person who thinks a lot about people being included and being able to thrive, I think about who they are and what is it that could cause them to not fully thrive in this environment. And sometimes what that is for you is that you're neurodivergent, or sometimes for you, what that is that you are very petite and you speak with a soft voice. Maybe for somebody else, it's that English is not your first language. And when you start talking, people have some idea of that. Well, I don't know what it is, but I try to think about all of the factors and then still figure out how to get you talking to yourself in such a way that makes you know for sure that you a boss and you
Mm.
deserve to be here. And you could be a boss and still be receptive to feedback and still, open to correction and still feel bad if you go 10 minutes over on a national lecture. Like, but you can still know that you deserve to be here. And I was like, with my talk, I was like, I was a person who should have gave this talk. I'm a subject matter expert. I deserve to be here. I worked hard on this, and it's about to be a damn good talk.
Mm.
You can start doing that when you're a medical student. You ain't got to be no full professor and no MACP. You can be like, look, I worked hard. I deserve to be here. What I got to say is worth hearing. And this patient trusted me to be their spokesperson. And right now on this team, I'm the subject matter expert on what's going on with this patient. And I'm prepared to give my best. As soon as I gave him that feedback, crushed it,
Oh,
crushed it, crushed it. And when we were parting, I was like, look, you're not going to have attendings who treat you like the way I treated you. They're not going to be this interested because you're not doing nothing wrong. They're going to just tell you to keep reading and they're going to give you some feedback and it's going to be nondescript feedback. I'm telling you, no more shrinking. He said, literally, I said that to myself when I was walking in today. I was mentally shadow boxing outside the room. And I said, all right, so your mantra is, he said, no more shrinking. I said, no more,
mm,
bro. He said, no more shrinking.
God,
I'm like, stuff like this, it's like a shot in the arm. I'm like, I'm glad I'm here. That
we're
was
glad you're here.
swag rounds.
Oh,
And I wish I could say that was my first time doing that with
I
somebody.
was gonna say we've
I've
had,
done this before.
yeah.
I have walked up the hall. One student, all we did was walk the halls together. That's it. I
Mm-hmm.
think I told you about this years ago. We
Yep.
just walked the halls together. But that student wanted to do emergency medicine. And I was like, you gotta up your swag. I said, sis, you can't be up in here like mumbling and, you know, looking nervous. No, you gotta own your space.
Yeah. It's so, I mean, to your point earlier about the type of impact you can make in a short period of time. I mean, what's beautiful about this is, for folks who are listening who are in medicine, we are chronically suffering for lack of good feedback, not just the type that says, go back and improve your fund of knowledge. Be sure to read more, but really talking about, what it means to take up space in a way that really determines, what doors are open for you.
Mhm.
The whole time I'm thinking about like all the unhelpful ways that this was fed back to me as a medical student, which was basically like have more confidence without acknowledging the difficulty, not just as a Black woman in this space, but as a medical student, like you feel like you don't have permission to take up space.
Correct. There are people who like think, oh, everything is about race or whatever, but it's not. It's more about intention.
Mm-hmm.
Intention looking at what could be going on with this person. So if I got a patient who is not taking their medication and I don't think about, well, what could be a barrier or what could be going on that causes this person to not take their medication, that requires me to think about a whole lot of stuff. And it's funny, I brought up Gurpreet a moment ago, but one of the things I learned from Dr. Dhaliwal was he was one of the first people that I ever had explicitly talk to me about carefully thinking about the positioning of learners in a space when we are teaching with a patient or on rounds. I remember we were in my office years ago and he had a sheet of paper out and he was drawing like where the bed was, where the patient was, where the resident was, where the interns were, and where he was in the space and how that mattered. Well, I kind of took that thinking and I have sort of applied it to how to help someone whose confidence I'm trying to get to build more, or who I want to be able to get more out of the learning environment. I've been thinking a lot about blocking the space, right? Like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
you need to be right here. You don't need to be, if it's a circle of us talking, you can't be on the second row of the circle. Be on the front row of the circle. Try to get
Mm-hmm.
yourself in the line of sight of this person. If if you are presenting the patient and the intern who is on the patient with you, perhaps you can ask them in advance to stand on the opposite side of the bed so you can make eye contact with them, but where you aren't looking away.
Mm-hmm.
Because that again diminishes your psychological size.
Yeah.
And then once it starts happening, the patient sees it and then they start to be like, well, who's the boss here? So let me just go on and talk to the boss.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yep. It sounds like part of this process was getting the individuals to believe in themselves that they deserve to be there.
Yeah.
Because even if you come in with all the swag, there are going to be some patients in some environments where folks are going to look sideways or past you. It reminds me actually, I went back and rewatched Michelle Obama's documentary on Netflix a couple weeks ago, and a lot of it was her mentoring and speaking to groups of high school students wherever she went. And she often would get different versions of the same question, which is like, how did you find the confidence being the first lady and all the scrutiny afterwards?
Right.
And she kept saying, it's just like, you have to believe that you deserve to be there. And it comes down to what you think of yourself and having to cut through the noise.
Correct. Correct. Have you ever heard of a movie called I Feel Pretty?
No, I
Okay.
don't recall.
It's not new. Harry and I watched it on some streaming platform recently. It's a movie with Amy Schumer, the comedian. And in this movie, um, she has something happen where she hits her head or something. And whatever, as a result of this, she had this wish that she would be hot, basically, like aesthetically pleasing to the eye of any and most.
Mm,
And what happened was in the movie, she is still herself. And Amy Schumer is, a curvaceous woman who, I don't know if everybody would immediately describe her as pretty, but she begins navigating the world as if she looks like Giselle, the supermodel.
hmm.
And every interaction she's having with people is like as if she that chick. Uh, and it is fascinating and funny, of course, because she still looked like herself. Like she enters herself in this bikini contest. And even when she doesn't win it, she thinks that like she kind of thinks she got robbed, but like she wasn't even sad about it. She was like, "Oh, I know it was hard to choose between me and her." But I, I thought the movie was funny, but I thought that the point of it is that half the time what you say about yourself is going to impact what you see about yourself.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
if you say that you are a loser, you are probably right. And if you say that you are a winner, you are probably right.
Yeah, that's a word.
Yep. So, I mean, really, what I was trying to tell my student is if you tell yourself that you deserve to be here and that what you got to say is worth us hearing, and you position yourself in a space for us to not only hear it, but see it, people usually get in line with that. You ain't got to know everything. You just got to keep trying, have forward momentum and have some motion.
It's emotion.
Got to have some motion. But it's hard to get through some doors without a little bit of swag, which in this context means an opinion of yourself that is high enough to be willing to step through a door.
Yeah, you were speaking to somebody today, and that somebody might be me.
And
Yeah.
me, I mean, I was nervous putting that talk together. And then I was sitting there and I was like, no, I was asked to give this talk a year ago because somebody thought I should give it. And you know what? How am I let somebody else have faith in me and I don't have faith in me?
Mm,
Where they do that at? I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So, you know,
I love it.
so let's put in some work because you can't just have swag without without effort.
Exactly.
Like the Bible
Well,
says, faith without works is dead. Swag without sweat is dead.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, I know, where there's going to be an immense amount of swag and some motion in literally less than a month now.
Yes, yes, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah.
segue.
Yep.
Where we going?
DC, Virginia,
Yep.
Maryland. We're going to be in the house for the Society of General Internal Medicine meeting. Our podcast will be happening on that Thursday, May 7th. I believe it's at 4 p.m. Coming
Oh,
to y'all live.
yep. The auntie is gonna be up in here. I might have to figure out which new edition song I'll bring y'all. Uh, your favorite niece, she gonna be back inside the United States.
Yes, yes, that is the plan.
And we hope that if any of you guys are still last minute thinking about if you should come, you should.
Hmm.
You should.
Yep. It's worth it.
And if you don't have an academic home, as an internist, might we suggest the Society of General Internal Medicine?
It's a good one.
It's a good one. You see what we did there, SGIM?
Mm-hmm. Yes, go us.
Well, you got to catch a plane,
Yes, I do.
and I got to grade some OSCEs. Observed structured clinical exams.
Yeah. I mean, both sound equally as fun. So I look forward to seeing you in person very soon. But in the meantime, thank you for continuing to bless me with your presence virtually and all of our listeners with such incredible wisdom coming from the stories that you tell.
Thank you, sis. And I love you immensely and feel incredibly grateful to call you my friend. Traveling grace to you.
Thank you. Love you too, sis.
Holla.
That wraps up this week's episode of the Human Doctor Podcast.
Special thanks to our favorite brother gastroenterologist, Dr. Chuma Obiname, for the beats. Shout out to the Dr. Ashley McMullen for editing and production.
Mad love to our podcast family at The Nocturnist and the Clinical Problem Solvers, our Med Twitter fam.
And especially shout out to all of you, our listeners.
Until next week, remember,
we see you and you are enough. Holla!